Alright, hey guys, it's Eternal Havoc here, and I'm going to be showing you my first Photoshop tutorial ever. And so it's probably going to be a little shaky, but oh well, let's get right started. This tutorial is going to teach you a basic lighting technique that I use in most of my recent stuff. And so anyways, this is the Facebook timeline layout. As you can see, I have the rule of thirds guides on, and so they aren't like actual lines or anything. If any of you don't know what guides are, you can just go into view, new guide, and then just type in however much you want. You can do it inches, centimeters, percent, pretty much anything. So anyways, back to the actual tutorial. I like starting off with black backgrounds. I just don't do nearly as good with white backgrounds, and so as you can see, just about like 95% of my stuff has a black background. So anyways, let's start off with a render. Resources, let's see. Let's just go into my render pack. Let's see. Let's do one with really obvious lighting. Here, like this one. Alright. Wait for this to load. And I personally like placing my renders on the left side of an image. That way, because the human eye, well, most cultures generally read from left to right, and so you want your flow of your sig to not totally contradict with that usually. And so anyways, now that I've gone on my little spiel about render placement, we can take off rule of thirds guidelines now. And now let's actually get into this. Okay, first you're going to want to duplicate your render and put it on soft light. And that already bumps up the lighting and contrast on your render quite a bit, and then you can mess around and duplicate it a few more times. But this render's already pretty dark, so I'm probably only going to duplicate it once. Alright, and so then you're going to want to make a new layer. Fail. God dang it. Alright, layer. Alright, now that we have this, go into your brushes, fuzzy brush, and usually just kind of varies on whatever you're doing. And so this one's going to be a 500 pix brush, and I want my lighting to come in right about here. Let's see, maybe like there. Oh wow, fail. Well, you gotta put it on white first. Alright, so once you have it on white, let's make it about there. Alright, put this on soft light and duplicate this, let's say 3 times. 1, 2. Well, to where there's 3 layers. And then, let's see. Let's just throw a texture back here. That way you can actually see the lighting that's going on. Otherwise, the majority of the lighting actually does not show up. Let's just put on some random texture. Put on this one. Don't ask me why I'm doing a leopard skin texture, because I really don't know. But, oh well. Boom. Alright. And then you can also, this is another trick I like to do, to rasterize your layer. Adjustments, hue saturation, throw that way down, image adjustments, and then throw on a photo filter of whatever you want. Let's make it green. Like I said, I'm not really worrying about anything this time besides the actual lighting, and so all my colors and textures and things are going to be really messed up. And so then you duplicate that layer, put the bottom layer on 35%, and put the top layer on 25%, and put the top layer on soft light. And then as you can see, you get a nice dark textured background. Alright, then you make a new layer. Okay, new layer. Use your bucket tool to make this layer completely black, and then choose a fuzzy brush, usually around 100 pixels, but the same thing with the lighting originally. It kind of varies on what size you're doing of piece you're doing. And so then you put it on white, and then I like to lower this down to opacity to 0 just so I can tell what I'm doing when I'm doing this lighting. And then make sure you have that layer selected, and then just kind of draw in some stuff. Obviously you're not going to be able to see this, but just kind of draw in stuff where you think the lighting happens. And then bump the opacity back up, make sure that it doesn't look horrible, Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. Go into Smudge. I use the brush. It's called Rough Round Bristle 1. It's got 100 size and it looks like that. And it should be a default brush as far as I know. And then put your strength on about 30%. And then just smudge a little bit. This gives the light a more realistic looking light effect, not just kind of a blobby thing. And then mostly flow it in that direction. Maybe make it to where it just smudges a little bit. Then go into blur. Doesn't really matter what size it is, but the bigger the size, the better. Put it on like 100. Here, I can probably bump this up to about 500 pixels, and just basically blur the entire thing quite a bit, to where it looks about like that. Wait for my computer to finish loading, because HyperCam totally messes up my computer speed. And then throw that on soft light. Alright. And then we're going to want to lower this. Usually about 75 looks alright. And then you can go through and edit it some more. Any places that you think could use some more lighting or less lighting or whatever. And then this really helps if your lighting follows the render, obviously. But as you can see with like his hand down here, doesn't make a huge difference. And so this really pretty much changes the lighting of your render, which is nice. Alright, anyways, now that we've done that, you can make a new layer. This part is only needed if you think that this area is good with brightness, but like these areas might be a little too bright or a little too dark. And so if it's too bright, then you're going to want to take your brush and put it on black, and then just kind of go over in black in these areas. And make it, and then put that on soft light, and then lower the opacity way down to where, see how that changes the brightness of that areas. Or you can go into, and then this is just changing it from black to white. So this then makes it brighter, as you can see. But I don't think it looks too bad like that, and so I'm going to keep it. And then layer, new layer. And for the brushes for this part, I'll see if I can find the original download for them. But if not, just look up like high quality abstract light stroke brushes or something like that. I'm sure you'll find something similar to this. But anyways, the brush itself looks about like that. And so once you get this, you're going to want to put on white. And then, because usually they aren't going to be in the direction of your light, because they're kind of awkwardly like that. And so you're usually only going to want to make one and then transform it to where it follows. Oh my god, I'm failing with transform tool right now. Alright. And then make it to where it kind of follows it. Alright. And then apply that. And basically just duplicate this a whole bunch of times and make it to where it follows our light that we set up earlier. Duplicate a few more times. Alright. Let's see. Almost done, I think. Nope. Fail. Alright. Probably only going to need 2 more. That might have been 3. Was it? No, I don't think so. Alright. Anyways, this is kind of failing so far, so I do apologize for that. Like I said, this is my first tutorial that I've ever done on Photoshop, and so this might be a little dodgy. Alright. Anyways, now that you have all these layers, you can merge them, which I'll do here. You don't necessarily have to. And then you can throw them on soft light, opacity 75, and then you duplicate that layer and you put it underneath your renders, or you can put it above your normal render and below your soft light render, or below both of them. Doesn't really matter, just kind of changes the way how strong your lighting is. And then you just go through with an eraser, probably about 50 pixels fuzzy, and just kind of brush off some of the areas where the lighting doesn't look so strong and like cover his face up or anything like that. And so next are our adjustment layers. You're usually going to want to throw on curves with some kind of contrast. Strong contrast might be a little too much, so let's put on medium contrast. And let's see, that looks pretty good. Layer, new adjustment layer. And then sometimes you need to use curves to either darker or lighter. We don't need to here though, because actually this is turned out pretty well with this render. And so then you're going to want levels, and levels can either lighten your shadows or midtones brighter, midtones darker, stuff like that, or increased contrast, variable amounts. And so again, don't really need levels here either, because like I said, my lighting is actually turning out really good here. New adjustment layer, then you're going to want exposure, and just kind of mess around with this. Usually +1 is too much, and so usually like 0.3 is going to look good, because you don't want to boost the exposure too much, but you still want it to look like natural lighting. And so then you have that, and then you go through and add all your other adjustment layers like photo filter, which I'm not going to explain in this tutorial, because this tutorial is pretty much lighting only. And be sure you preserve luminosity on everything, otherwise it totally just messes up everything. And so, yeah, do that. And this is my glorious creation. It's green, and I'm not entirely sure why. But yeah, anyways, this was a basic lighting tutorial brought to you by Eternal Havoc, and if you guys like this one, I may be making more tutorials further on. See you guys.